I thought I was hitting the volume button, but I was hitting the power button. I just wanted to hear your commands here, because I think that this is a potential off-course trap to the rear cross. Rear cross creates a turn. It doesn't necessarily tell the dog how tight to turn. So this would be a spot, since you essentially want to wrap back, where I would be using a lot of verbal to get the dog to key in here. I love this A-frame because I love how you run straight through and never stop. This is beautiful, and it puts you way out ahead. It's very clear to the dog, and then you get this beautiful deceleration into that jump into the table. And now the funny thing here is, when I read your notes, and the first thing I did was, it said the off-course double goddess, and I stopped reading there and I watched the video so that I could see where the off-course double was. And when I watched the video, I thought, she's not trusting him on the table, and that's going to put her behind for this jump. And then after I watched it, I read the rest of your comments where you said, I think part of my problem was because I didn't trust her on the table. So that's exactly what I see here. Because the problem is that if you stay right next to the dog, then when you release them, everything is ascend. Everything is acceleration away from you. It's almost an exception, really, to kind of the rules of handling. The dog just blasts off the table with very little support from the handler. And I think that that sets up this line. And even the lateral distance, even if you create a turn, the dog is actually running, like their straight line takes them out of the ring. So when they begin to turn, they still are heading for the double. So it's almost like a double turn here. So I think, yes, you've got to trust that table. And if you can't, then you'd probably need to run halfway, stop, wait for the dog to respond, and then you can start heading in this direction. Beautiful rear cross of the weaves. Very nice, solid dog walk, and a nice close. All right, now we have broken start. That could definitely be part of it, as she's trying to catch up, and as she's maybe kind of monitoring you for your reaction to see if she was right or wrong. Just reading through your notes. All right, so let's get through this course, see what happens here. Beautiful job getting ahead here while she's in the weaves. Really, really nice. And she is just racing to catch up at this point. I mean, that creates, I think, the best line you can get here. That's beautiful. If you're going to do that, you have to be really far ahead so that you are leading the dog. If you're over here, she's actually going to go more like this, and it's going to be more ping-pongy. So you have to be extremely far ahead, and that's exactly what you do. You get really, really far ahead there. So here, I'd like to see the dog put in an extra stride here. So I think this is the dog choosing to really slice that really long. You're there, you're not moving. So I'd like to see a little bit more collection going into that jump, but I don't think that's your handling. This is beautiful. Really patient. Letting the dog get ahead, then put pressure on the line. I think you could probably put pressure even earlier. There is the danger of the dog going to this jump, so I think your dog does a really good job to take this really tight line here. Okay, so I see that extreme decel before the triple. Yeah, I mean, I don't love the turning into her. It's almost like the beginning of a front cross and then an abort, but I'm afraid if I did that, I think my dog would say, okay, we're threadling into the tunnel. That's what the handling looks like here. You almost were far enough ahead to actually do a front cross, or actually, you know, what would probably have worked really nice here would be a blind, because at this point right here, you can just run this way and then look over your left shoulder. You running this way supports this jump, but then the blind takes the tunnel out of the picture. So I think I like the blind better than a front in this spot, and I think you were in a position to do the blind. I think this may have worked, but I think it worked because your dog was preparing for a front cross. So it was almost like an aborted front cross. But I didn't see anything else that really bothered me in terms of allowing the dog to go wide. I thought everything else looked really nice.